we're here with Mark Kendrick, who is our Director of Manufacturing. Mark, you go way back with Fender. First, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. Good to be here.
As you can see here on our bench, these are a lot of parts and components that you would come in contact with, right? Or things you want to change. But I think with Mark here, I think you're going to kind of walk us through a little bit of again, about the origins and why they exist.
I mean, we could start, say, with, in 1945, making lap steels.
Yeah.
That is what Leo was doing at the time. So the Champion lap steels ostensibly had this pickup in it.
Right.
Okay, there were only 2 mounting holes versus 3. So we went from this, if you will, to this. Okay, why the steel base plate? For example, on the Esquire Broadcaster, No-Caster, Telecaster, right. The reason for it was for tonal aspects, and it is in a sense, but what it does is it extends the magnetic range. What this will do is it will give you more bottom end and temper shrill high end.
Got it.
It also had, as part of the control assembly, if you will, there was a cover over the pickup.
Right. That
was also made of steel. So let's just pretend that this is a Champion lap steel control assembly, and there's going to be a cover over this.
Right.
What this does, you're putting a conductive material and you're entering it into the magnetic field. It induces eddy currents, and an eddy current is a perpendicular circle that runs next to it. It's tone changing.
Right.
The material makes a difference. So they punch these out of brass, they punch them out of steel, everything else, but it does affect the overall tone. Moving forward, we get into the Telecaster. People take these off. Ashtray.
Yeah.
There was a reason for this. It was not aesthetic. I mean, it can be aesthetically pleasing, but it was a tonal approach to get a result.
Sure.
And everything they did was by ear.
Talk about a guitar, the body specifically. You mentioned Leo, who was taking the input from players and in their feedback, and right, we had the broadcaster or the telly body, which was the sharp edges, and then all the contours, the body, the belly cut. That's all from feedback from players.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so again, this is chasing sounds in your head. That's what I get a big kick out of. You're going to do mods, chase the sounds in your head.
Yeah.
Okay, you can use ash, you can use alder. I've seen hickory strats, I've seen early limba strats. So this is also a tonal approach. What Leo did was had the breadboard, okay? And everybody can somewhat experiment with this in their own homes, provided you have, stuff like this to swap in and out. What he was great at, and he would do this by ear, is he had this breadboard, and it was, for lack of a better term, let's call it a swimming pool rack.
Sure. Yep.
And he would just move the pickups in and out, or between the neck and the bridge.
Right.
And he would find these tonal nodes. A lot of people ask, why is this cocked? Well, he didn't like the way it sounded when it was straight. He wanted more bottom end and less top end.
Right. So the further you get away from the bridge, the tone warms up.
Right.
Closer, it's a little bit brighter. Yeah.
Yeah. If you put in 3 pickups and you consider the string material, nickel wound versus steel wound, and base plate versus no base plate, all these things make a tonal difference. And you can do this at home. You can play Junior Mischief Kid at home all day long. The same with like a humbucker. The meaning behind the madness was a nickel silver base plate and then a nickel silver color. Nickel silver is supposed to be as tonally neutral insofar as a metal as can be. It was the early 70s. A guitar player interviewed with Dwayne Allman, and they took the covers off the humbuckers because they wanted more high end.
Right.
And they took the backs off of their cabinets because they were too woofy.
Right.
So people just chasing their own ideas. So let's just say 50s pickups. The stagger is different, and it was intended for 7¼ inch radius.
Right.
That's why the stagger.
Yeah.
As we start moving into 59 is when they went to the early 60s stagger.
Mm-hmm.
That's Leo's passion was like the sound of it all.
It's always
with
a
a
question.
lot of input from a lot of different players.
Yes. When we talk about mods, we think like, oh, we have to go and you have to buy a pickup, you have to buy, but it's like you think of a Strat, for instance, like the way the tremolo sits, right? I mean, a mod could be just the way you set the trem, whether you want it floating so you can pull up and push down, or against the body, so if you break a string, it won't go out of tune, or if you do a lot of bends where the other strings they'll stay in play, they won't modulate it. That's a mod, right?
It is.
And that's something if you have a Strat and the right tool, a screwdriver, like that's a mod, yeah. Again, pots, there's 250K, there's 500K, there's 1 meg, and whatever, 270, whatever. I think we think of single coils, okay, you want 250, humbuckers, you want 500. But, experimentation, right? You want a darker tone, you can try a 250K on a humbucker. It's just going to give you a darker tone, and vice versa. You can do a 500K on a single coil if you want brighter sounds. Yeah.
Here's some fun in that, though. And they always have had. They have a 10% tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be 230.
230, right.
It could be 270.
270, yeah.
So you go in and you measure it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The same with capacitors and resistors. Depending on you can get very tight tolerance resistors, but you can have fun. Just measure it. Get a volt ohm meter and measure it and say, okay, I have this. I'm going to try this one and see what the result might be.
Mm-hmm. All right, so while we're talking about pickups, single coil pickups, specifically with you, I want to talk about reverse wound, reverse polarity. Can you describe what that is and kind of how that developed?
I had the Strat.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 69 Strat black. Well, by that time, 5-way switches were available.
Right.
And I was still getting the buzz. A blinking Hamm's the beer refreshing light.
Yeah.
And you could hear.
Sure. Yeah. 60 cycle, yeah.
So I think, if I recall correctly, there was a book out there called Craig Anderton's Guitar Projects, or I don't know if you're aware of it.
I remember that, yes.
I think it's out of
I do
print.
remember it, yeah.
But anyway, I think there was something in there that inspired me to rewind a pickup, reverse wind it, and what I mean by reverse is you flop the pickup around the other way. And it was on a winder that Doc made for the shop. He made it out of a sewing machine motor, and it had the little tread
pedal control, yeah.
And so I said, okay, I'm going to try this, and I just did it. And the way we would magnetize our pickups, we had to go to Doc's house. And Doc had a very early patent on the electric car.
Okay.
And he explained to me how he did this, but he literally magnetized that pickup in this electric car that he had made, and it was like 6 batteries in a Volkswagen.
Oh my goodness.
So I said, can you run it north up? And then I had to swap the wires so as not to confuse myself, the color of the
Sure.
wires.
Oh, of course, right.
And I wired it up, and it worked, It worked in 2 and 4. So in 2004, our then marketing manager, we were doing a master design, and they came to me and said, do you have any ideas for a master design? I said, yeah. Well, at the time I was playing this friend of mine's 65 Strat. Okay, well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to bind the neck. The guitar that I had wasn't bound. And in this, I'm going to put this reverse wound, reverse polarity pickup thing.
In the middle, right?
Yeah. And it went from there.
Yeah.
So in the 2 and the 4,
What we call the quiet positions.
Yes.
Yeah.
it was a need.
Do you have any advice or tips for newer players that are looking for their first steps? Do you have any recommendations of things to try, safely without, obviously soldering iron and all that kind of stuff?
I would try things that won't, that you can't get back to ground zero.
Sure.
Try swapping out strings. Try nickel wound versus stainless steel. Try playing with your pickup height adjustment. Or the closer a magnet gets to something that is entering into the magnetic field, you're going to get a different result.
Right.
Go up, go down, I also like pickups that are moderately wound.
Yeah.
Not like 7,600 turns. Not like 8,500 turns.
Right,
I like.
right. Yeah.
That's me personally.
I like lower to medium because I feel like if you start kind of here, you can add things on with your amp and pedals, but if you start like here, it's harder, more difficult to go the other way if you want something cleaner and so I like lower to medium, but I'm sure I have a guitar somewhere that has.
But you get to go
but-
see.
but-
You're not really
yeah.
going to harm your guitar.
Right.
If you get really, really close, that magnetic pull is going to affect your tuning.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, but still,
Yeah.
it's correctable.
Well, this is amazing. So the last thing I want to talk about, do you have, what tools, what are like what's a good first set of tools? What should be in a mod toolkit for like beginner type stuff?
Well, I was going to say,
Yeah.
but you need a number 1 and a number 2.
Right.
I have pencils. I have tape.
Needle nose.
Needle nose would be
Maybe,
good. If
yeah.
you're going to get into soldering,
Soldering,
okay,
yeah.
you got to make sure your gun is hot enough, but not so hot that you burn out the wiper in a pot.
Right.
You know, I kind of stay. I like to stay.
I've done that.
Well, you can still have a good temperature,
Yeah.
but if you do it a lot of times, the wiper will burn up. You know, you want to do some shielding, get yourself some tape or some shielding paint. Maybe try and put the covers on or take them
Yeah, take 'em
off
off,
or get a neck.
Yeah.
Try and have a neck. If you really, really like your neck, get a body.
Yeah.
Or you could have a stunt body, and the one that you don't want to maybe,
Do all the things
yeah.
to it. Yeah.
So you have the stunt body.
If you want to go
know,
back to the original, yeah, exactly. That's a great way to approach it as well. Mark, hey, I know we're out of time. You got to go, but thank you so much. This has been so
My pleasure.
amazing. Great insight.
Good to see you.
Lots of things we talked about, but again, go experiment and
Have fun.
see what happens. Yeah.
Pull
Thanks.
out your
Yeah.
junior mischief kit.
All right. Thanks.